Conservative commentators are accusing the New York Times of working with a left-wing group to try and silence them.
Commentators, including Ben Shapiro and Benny Johnson, say a New York Times reporter has reached out to them about what they believe is a possible hit piece the Times is writing about their coverage of Vice President Harris. They claim the New York Times is working with Media Matters, a left-wing media watchdog that has put pressure on conservative voices. We have reached out to the New York Times for comment, but have not heard back yet. When we do, if we do, we'll let you know.
In the meantime, let's bring in Joe Concha, Fox News contributor. Tell us what you know about it. Hi, Joe.
Hey, Sandra, John. So, yeah, for starters, let's be clear so our audience knows who we're talking about here. There is not a more corrupt, more radical media organization out there than Media Matters. And the New York Times, which has vast resources and personnel, instead of doing its own research, has now outsourced this to this patently dishonest activist organization whose #1 mission, outside of taking out this network, is to squash any and all free speech through AstroTurf campaigns online against anyone or anything they consider to be conservative or even right of center. Elon Musk once referred to Media Matters as an evil propaganda machine. That's not hyperbole. He ain't wrong. So this is the game plan here, okay? Media Matters, along with the New York Times, and it's getting increasingly difficult to differentiate the two, by the way, they're going to pressure YouTube to deplatform these big voices on the right, like Ben Shapiro, like Benny Johnson. And before you say, well, that's never going to happen, well, remember that YouTube is owned by Google, and Google is the #1 donor to the Democratic Party out of Silicon Valley. So if it does happen, the argument will be, well, Shapiro or Johnson, they are spreading misinformation on the platform. Misinformation like, saying that COVID may have come from a lab or Hunter Biden's laptop is Russian disinformation. That kind of misinformation. So who's to decide what it is and what it isn't? But that's what they're trying to do right now, 7 days before an election.